Welcome to Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and her panel of guests bring you insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for soul growth. Come journey with us through astrology's energetic cycles and get ready to understand your path in the cosmic roots of the stars.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sue Rose Minahan, and this is Talk Cosmos. Today we have a panel about the moon once again, and it's in Leo. Beautiful heart, generous, life-giving sun radiation. And the backdrop of it is Mercury. Mercury is in Leo and is in that apparent retrograde cycle, coming from Earth as our viewpoint, because that's what astrology is. It's from Earth. If we were on Mars, it would be the Martian astrology, which I think astrologers are beginning to contemplate. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining. And we are now ready for Kaleidoscope Visions.
Understanding the cosmic energies influencing our consciousness by the 4 major moon phases for the month, this is your Kaleidoscope Visions panel.
I'm Sue Rose Minahan, founder of Talk Cosmos since 2018. I'm an evolutionary astrologer, consultant, speaker, writer, vibrational astrology student, Dwarf Planet University graduate, Kepler Astrology Toastmasters Club charter member. I have a fine arts music degree plus a certificate in jazz. I'm an artist, musician, and certified color energy life coach. Especially, I love mythology and esoteric philosophies.
I'm Amanda Pierce. I'm a soul-centered astrologer, blending intuition into my practice. I believe the universe is always working for our highest good and seek to empower my clients in our readings. I teach a 4-week series of empowerment-based meditation classes that connect you deeper into your own intuition and innate power. I work in communications with a passion for employee experience. I also have a BA in psychology. I'm passionate about healing and enjoy helping others create new realities and shift old paradigms.
And I'm John Chinworth, a Seattle astrologer with more than 25 years experience. I use a blend of evolutionary, traditional, and archetypal techniques and constantly attend workshops and lectures to further hone my skills. I hold an MFA in poetics, an MA in teaching, and an astrological diploma. I've lectured at NORWAC and served on the WSAA board. I have worked in general and special education classrooms, both as a teacher and mentor. I also enjoy reading, penning poems, riding a bike, and going on road trips around the great state of Washington.
And like the Sufi poet Rumi says, you are the entire ocean in a drop. Hello, Amanda and John, once again.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Good to be back.
Yep.
It is.
You both.
I love the orange here. As Amanda helped me realize, it is the sun. It's that red and yellow. So we are rethinking from the heart. Mercury. Well, we'll talk about Mercury more. In fact, pretty soon. To clarify for any new people and just for where we're coming from, the moon in astrology often has 8 phases. The 4 primary ones are what we're talking about. This is a chart that shows that it goes in any direction, but from new moon to first quarter, full moon, and last quarter. And waxing means increasing, waning is decreasing, light. It's a constant motion. That's why the moon is so much processing. Whatever it does, it's processing those emotions and things. And this again is another chart to indicate that movement. Any thoughts? Should I go on?
Oh, the moon is like seasons. That's what I think about when I see this graphic, the new moon being winter, first quarter, spring, full moon, summer, and the last quarter, fall. And the light kind of matches the way you see those moons.
Yes, that's true. I like that. And really, seasonally is how our equinox and the astrology in Western astrology, the tropical astrology really works. Because of the ingress, with the solstice and the equinox. The dates for this particular, I'm calling the Leo phases for the lunar cycle would be July 24th with the new moon in Leo, 2 degrees, the first quarter on August 1st, in a few days, we're right in between these at 9 degrees, 31 minutes Scorpio. The full moon will be a week later, approximately. That's on August 9th in Aquarius. These are all fixed signs. 16 degrees right in the middle. Well, it's almost 17 degrees. And August 15th, it'll be the 3rd quarter at 23 degrees, 36 minutes Taurus. So, Leo, let's talk a little bit about this archetype, because Mercury is going to be retrograde during this entire time in Leo. It's a lion-hearted.
Well, Mercury going retro is a time to rethink, redo, retry, redesign. That's how I think of it. It's in Leo, so speaking and communication becomes really important, and how we speak, the influence of Leo. I don't know, did I say anything wow there?
Oh, no. Well, we're thinking.
Very general.
No, and it has been happening since July 1st, which is the next slide I'll show. And it's a psychopomp. It's true. Mercury can go entwine those deep memories that we have down below, and having them come and surface once again is a dynamic process.
With Mercury in Leo and it being retrograded, we can think of all the re-words, like John was saying, rethink, re-examine, reweave our narratives, reclaim our inner truths. There can be themes of expressing our voice coming forward, of being visible, of having authentic self-expression come forward, really voicing our identity and our creative truth.
And I think also exactly what you're both saying. And when in Leo, one wants to find the depth of what ignites. I don't know if ignites, but it's fire. It's a fire sign. And you want to be able to speak what makes you feel really great, happy, joyous,
Yeah, there's the archetype that keeps coming forward for me with this month, with Mercury in Leo retrograde, and the fact that it's a new moon that starts in Leo, is Leo as the divine child. It's this place of where we really are inherently radiant and creative and joyful, and where we know that we're loved simply just because we exist. And reclaiming that, and really speaking from that place and owning that truth within us, that we are loved. And if we can hold that, then the way that we communicate it shifts completely. So I love this for this month.
Amanda, you've tied the ribbon. I love this. Thank you. Mercury, as it's retrograding again from Earth, the pre-shadow started last month, July 1st, in Cancer at 4 degrees Leo, 15 minutes. Went retrograde a few weeks later on the 18th, right in the middle. It's a world point, because the world points are 15 degrees of any of the fixed signs. There's depending if it's cardinal, that would be 22 degrees and a half, I think. And in Leo, it's fixed, it's 15, and immutable at 7. So it was at a fixed degree worldwide, and that was on the 18th of July. Now, it continues being retrograde for the new moon, the 1st quarter, and the full moon. And then before the 3rd quarter, it goes direct, because there's that path. There's a pre-shadow path, as we call it, the retrograde period, and then the post-shadow path. And it'll end on August 26th when it returns to 15 degrees Leo, 35 minutes. Okay, and so that is one. We'll bring that up again and again as we go through the different phases. The only one out of bounds is Hygeia. She's an asteroid, and she has been out of bounds last month and this month, and that means that she's fully engaged in her archetype, and that involves health, purity versus toxicity, because she's a daughter of the god of medicine, Eclipsius. And she is in that inner asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter.
Yeah.
And Hygeia out of bounds can it can amplify like the themes around purification and taking care of our health and our energies. So that's something for us to be watching this month.
In ancient Greece, Asclepius would be the final god you would go to. He was like a god of surgery, and things are going really dire, and you didn't want to see Asclepius. So they really hailed Hygeia because she was preventative. So you do the things to take care of yourself so you don't have to see Asclepius, right?
Well, with Leo, isn't this a wonderful combination in a sense? Because I'm very much a believer that how we feel emotionally translates into our physical well-being. You know, it's like a psychosomatic situation. It's deep. It's not to say that traditional medicine doesn't have its place, but not to disregard the emphasis it is just to feel good about things. And with that said, the world doesn't necessarily give us all the data on the news or wherever it is to feel chipper cheery. So you need to look at
True. Yeah.
The what you can control, what is within your realm. I mean, I even look at the Dalai Lama sometimes, and there's this beautiful, benefic smile. And I think this man has an inner peace that, despite things happening, has the wisdom to share, you know, rather than the lines and the furrows and whatnot of, you know, it's a metaphysical.
Yeah, it's really about like Hygeia or any type of preventative medicine is really about taking ownership of your internal experience and working with it on the internal and not expecting the external to show up in the way that you want it to, because it never is going to, right?
I think of the POWs, like John McCain, you know, he came out of that trying to be a bridge between the two parties. Anyway, that's political. Sorry about that. But he was trying to be a middle ground person. That's my only thought here. Shall we go on? Okay.
Yeah.
So, I jumped. The seed point for the new moon at early 2 degrees, 8 minutes. It's just freshly into Leo on the 24th, a week ago. In the west, East Coast was, for the United States at least, at 3 degrees, 3 minutes, 11. You can read it. So at any rate, these charts initially are really for review for people. We're going to get into the charts more. All these aspects just show what one portrait involves if you want to go back and look at it, and a little bit about what each one is. As far as a dispositor, which is what governs or rules that planet or the sign, happens to be in its domicile. It's the sun rules Leo. It's in Leo, so everything goes.
This also kicks off the series of moons this month where they're all in fixed signs. So there's this sense of standing ground, preservation. This is where we are. Let's work on this. A little bit of that kind of energy, perhaps. And then you have, of course, Hygeia square those nodes, kind of emphasizing, okay, we're on this thing where we have to take care, right?
Yeah. And new moons, you know, they're the seed points. So this is a great time to set intentions. And in Leo, you know, we can set some intentions around honoring our creative truths, honoring our divine child, and initiating from the heart. And I love, John, what you were saying about how you can hold steady with the fixed energy, and that will allow us to go deeper. And given that all of these moons are in fixed, we know Scorpio is going to come up, and Scorpio is about going deeper. So,
and this series of fixed moon signs are, what was I going to say? In Leo, I mean, they're starting with light. They're starting with warmth. It's a great intention.
Yeah, and that fire, that spark of light, that initiation. Yeah, so that's beautiful.
Indeed. We bring up several patterns just to mention to our audience. And if you've been listening, these might be familiar, but briefly speaking, point of Thales, or the wedge, has one point that's a focal planet, and it's a creative outlet. So in this case, we have two of them, and it makes what Sue Tompkins would say are angel wings, where in John, but it's most powerful, and this is ongoing. This is really a backdrop that we will see enduring. It was because it involves the outer planets. Now, in this case, though, the angel wings really are emphasized by the new moon itself, 2 degrees, because they're at 2 degrees within orb of all the outer planets that have just ingressed over the last, since Pluto in Aquarius and Saturn and Neptune in Aries, along with Uranus and Gemini. So it's powerful.
This is a good angel wings configuration happening now. Pluto's in Aquarius, Aquarius being the power of the people, and opposite Leo, sun and moon, power of the king, people versus king. And you have the other involved planets, Saturn, status quo, Uranus upset the status quo. So there's kind of a, but angel wings is also a feel-good energy. So how can we creatively make a little shift that needs to be made so we can move forward? That's what I think, this little hint of this going on. Also the dreamer Neptune next to Saturn, which is very promising.
I love that the outer planets are involved here, and I love the Pluto Uranus trine involved. It's like the deep transformation of Pluto connecting with innovation with Uranus, and we're on a whole new journey here with both of these planets changing signs, and they're really supporting each other. And that Saturn and Neptune as well, is like the dream. And that Saturn comes in and just provides a bit of stability and reality and kind of grounding to help us shift into this new framework.
I love
and a little bit of urgency with all the Aries planets. Like, maybe we should do this now.
Yeah, you're bringing up the opportunity concept that maybe if looking at life like, okay, there's disruption, but it opens a path. How are we going to creatively reimagine what to do and how to do it and improve or devise that dream? That's it, and it's ongoing. This isn't going to end. In fact, well, it won't necessarily have the sun and moon in Leo, but like you said, that's really shining the light, beginning, because that other mini trine is, we'll see it continues. Well, we're releasing quite a bit. Mars, it just was conjunct the South Node. It's in Virgo, which Virgo is that archetype of discernment and discrimination, wants to find out what's perfect. And it's, of course, the South Node for the next year. So we're really involved at different times when it gets triggered.
Yeah, and with that South Node, we're releasing our tendencies to be perfectionistic, because that's what Virgo wants, and it's not doesn't really align with us being heart-centered. And any of these placements, any placements here in Virgo or in Gemini are currently being ruled by that Mercury in that Leo retrograde. So this is an opportunity for us to kind of reclaim a little more of that heart-centered feeling and let go of the over reliance on the details.
It is involved because Mercury is doing action with our relationships, with where we need to nourish our emotions and ourself and our direction. And that Mars with South Node is really trying to strategize and having a tough time. It's like, yes, I get the idea of where I want to go and elevate in the community that I'm involved with, but how does that relate with my direction? It's really, we're working through it. It's quite the process because this is coming up.
The south node is also, well, always opposite the north node. And the node I call the whisperer, because the south node is always kind of screaming at you, do this. And north node's, no, try this. And here it is in Pisces going, let go, let God, let spirit.
Ah, yes. It's a
Pour out
big
now.
message this whole month. Oh, excellent. Well, I thought I did the first. Oh, that was the new moon. Oh, yes, indeed. That was the new moon seed. Now we're in the first quarter. Oi, crisis in action coming up. All this, little just sprouting is like wants to move.
This may be the busiest chart we've ever seen.
Yeah.
It has a lot of lines. There's so much.
There are a lot.
I really goofed. I went over and over and over this, but this is a Virgo moon.
All
It
good.
is not. It is that Scorpio moon we talked about. So we said Scorpio's coming up, and I was thinking, yes, it is. I'm going to show it. No. Oh, boo hiss. I need an editor. I mean, I have one, but oh my gosh. So at any rate, mistakes. It is Mercury. It is the moon in Scorpio. So it's been ruled, the modern one, by Pluto, which is so active these days, and the traditional in Mars. So, all right.
Yeah, and first quarter moons, this is where we start to take action on this seed point that we've been evolving in the new moon period. And so with a moon in Scorpio, there's a lot of potential to really dig deep into our shadow work here and be fearless in facing that discomfort. That is one of Scorpio's evolved signatures.
I like that evolved signature of facing what is uncomfortable, because Taurus, as you were saying, as a polarity, loves to have comfort. And we all have this in different dynamics in our charts. I can well agree. But on the other hand, what is uncomfortable, like the princess with the P, under her bed, that old fable, maybe people don't listen to it anymore because I'm not even sure if I should. But the point is that a small thing can be quite upsetting. And once you look at it and pluck the thorn out, boom.
And and that's a great analogy. Like, what is the shadow behind that? Like, is there an emotional basis within that's bothering us so much about that? Like, that's where this first quarter moon period can be so powerful if we're able to uncover anything and bring it forward into consciousness.
Again, another dynamic pattern, Thor's hammer. This tells you about it. It's sacred geometry, as these patterns are referenced. And as it reads here, it's a moving dynamic action, and it's transformative because it involves squares, and squares are really action points. It's that angular position where at 90 degrees, it's just got to move in another direction. But here it's 90 degrees in another half square to make 135 degrees. So the 2 points, the 2 focal planets, go ahead, John.
Well, lots of goddesses involved. Yay. Pallas Athena being strategy, and Vesta, the sacred fire that you hold. And with Venus, love, of course. And then there's Saturn trying to control it all. But I like the goddesses doing their work here. Like a steady work towards a certain goal. Like what's inside you to work on. In Scorpio, what's the deep work you want to do, as Amanda said. And then Pallas saying, these are your tools that you have. Make a strategy. And Venus is like, love the work. But do the work. You're going to have to do the work.
Well, what you love is what you attract. Venus is attraction and magnetic. And, it is a whole spectrum of what we might love. And we don't have that many words for it, like some cultures, whether it's desire, lust, want, et cetera, et cetera. But what you get is what you desire is what you get. What you see is what you get, like Flip Wilson said many years back.
Oh, yeah.
On Saturday Night Live, right?
I remember that.
But here it's really what you desire is, and that's the key, is by digging down and really seeing what you're messages, because you can give mixed messages. You think in your brain one thing, but in your heart you feel something else.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because we've got two Thor's hammers, and the focal planets for both are relationship oriented. We've got Venus for one of them and then Juno for the other. And Venus and Juno feature in both of them. So there's a lot of potential for relationship dynamics to come up. And the focal planet can often be seen as like the sacred hammer. So that's where there's so much tension between the squares on the opposite side of the focal planets. And this sacred hammer can just like push through it and really shift and move some energy. And Venus as a focal planet, she can be like a boundary setter, where she's saying yes or no based on core values. And so that may come forward here, because on the opposite side of Venus, we've got Juno, who is like all in, ride or die commitment, plus a deep fear of betrayal. That's Juno. And then on the other side, we've got Pallas, who is strategizing and detached and non-emotional. And these energies don't really, there's a lot of friction between them. And so this Venus can really come in and kind of use that value setting place to kind of move the energy through.
Particularly, I love how you gave that real flesh in the story. But I'm thinking too, Venus is working with Saturn and Neptune, and that goes back to what you were saying, John, about let spirit, let God, let whatever it might work for your belief system. But in other words, we're not always the captain. If we keep our heart in the right way and work towards our goals and see the signs, see what comes forth, what ignites the next step.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Saturn Neptune coming in here, and it's this conjunction. It's about manifesting our dreams into reality and aligning with our authentic spiritual identity. And so there's a lot of potential to really get that moving here.
Oh, good. We only have a moment before we step away, just for a few moments with the recording, and we'll be right back. However, during this period coming up, on this particular chart here is a biwheel with the U.S. natal chart, choosing the Sibley at 5:10 p.m. on July 4th, 1776, commonly used. And it is the new moon. And at that time, which we brought up in archetypal symbols last week, and it's that Venus, it was applying to a return, which we'll bring up in the next chart, because that's what we're talking about, are all these phases. But at that time, Venus was also conjunct Mars, and Mars was so much action in this last week that we're happening with, moving towards lots of action. Okay. And unless you have a thought, I'm going to, because I only have a moment here. This is the Venus return coming up, and that'll be on August 2nd, the same day as the first quarter crisis in action, as we call it in astrology. And our Venus in this nation is 3 degrees in Cancer, 6 minutes, very, very early. And that'll happen in the afternoon, 4:11 p.m. Eastern time. But as you can see, Mercury, our retrograde theme here in Leo, is crossing over our North Node 3 times. So we are really, as a nation, this is deep work on a private basis and collectively, because as you were mentioning, John, we need to talk to one another, and people are talking to one another.
They are.
And people, oftentimes when people are talking, it's maybe not from the heart. It's critical or judgmental, or this is, your side is wrong. And and how can we love ourselves and love each other a little bit
You know,
more.
what
And
is
how can we
communicate
do
that way.
these things with a way that moves us forward? It's conjunct the American North Node. What words can we
Yeah.
say that really help us just move forward into the next best thing the U.S. can be?
I love this idea because I was just talking to a woman that I know, and she was bringing up that and she's back east in Cape Cod actually, and she was bringing up that if people could, she was thinking if people can just get and talk with one another. And I was mentioning, yes, if these big subjects can be broken down into ideas instead of just a generic clickbait idea, give it more food and concentrate on the options and get feedback back and forth.
And when
Maybe we
people
could
start
move
talking,
along.
humans find out they have a lot of things more in common than they have different.
Yes,
Right.
that has happened. Yes, indeed. We'll be back, folks. I have John Chinworth and Amanda Pierce. This is Talk Cosmos, Kaleidoscope Visions, and we're talking about the Leo moon cycle because our heart is thinking big time. See ya. While we take a break from this week's edition of Talk Cosmos, let's take a look at this cycle's archetype. We are currently in the Yang period of Leo, ruled by the solar sun. Having departed from a cycle based on the internal process of emotional attachments requiring security and safety, the energy of Leo externally manifests our legacy through children and artistic creations. As a fixed Yang fire sign that desires to ignite actualization, Leo the lion takes the risk to generously exhibit love and welcome all to share their stage with joyous pleasure for living life.
Talk Cosmos brings insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for the soul growth with hour-long programs. Talk Cosmos weekly programs are also available to watch live on the Talk Cosmos YouTube channel and Facebook page. While you're there, make sure you click the like and subscribe buttons so you get the full Talk Cosmos experience. Or if you'd rather listen to the show archives with audio only, the entire podcast collection since 2018 is available on most podcast carriers. And to find out about upcoming programs, sign up for the newsletter at talkcosmos.com. So grab your coffee, tea, or kombucha and enjoy the show.
This is Martha Norwalk. Every Sunday morning, beginning at 9 a.m., thanks in part to newprosupplements.com, we cover the world of animals. This week, August 3rd, it's Shelter Rescue Sanctuary and anything that helps our animal friends Sunday. We'll check in with Meow Cat Rescue, Help Animals India, and chat with Merritt and Beth Clipton from animals24-7.org. We'll also hear from the Ananda Institute of Living Yoga about all their events and classes coming up in August. I hope you can join us for Martha Norwalk's Animal World, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to noon, right here on Alternative Talk, AM 1150.
You found us. Maybe you've been guided to listen. Alternative Talk 1150.
Okay, we are back. I'm going to go with that. And this is how you can get a hold of Amanda. She has an email address, amandamoonastrology@gmail.com. And John Chinworth, and Amanda's working on her website. She's getting one, not to leave her out. And John Chinworth's website is skypathastro.com, and his email is archerstars@gmail.com. Me, Talk Cosmos, and you can find that online. This shows our potpourri of playlists that we have. I did do one with dwarf planets. You can find that at my videos featuring me on my online. And then we had the recent one was with Rick Levine about Uranus at 0 degrees Gemini, Alakazam, very powerful. And remember, folks, coming up is Fractal Cosmos. You can go to fractalcosmos.org. It's going to be on Labor Day weekend. It's online, very reasonable, very informative for beginners or intermediates to find out what this new concept involves. It changes things. Thank you, everybody, for subscribing and being with us. So here we have our 4 moons. This time, a little lighthearted journey as they sit there convening. So what will the full moon do? It illuminates, it culminates, it releases. It's going to be on the 9th of August, right in the middle of Aquarius, close to it, 16 degrees, 59. It may as well be 17 degrees Aquarius.
So we've moved from this first quarter moon, which has tension involved with it in Scorpio, this like deep emotional work, into a full moon in Aquarius, where there's more insight and more clarity, and we're coming fully out of that that depth of emotion, and we're seeing things in a new light. And I really love this moon because it's the traditional ruler is Saturn, and Saturn's in Aries right now, and Uranus is the modern ruler, and Uranus is in Gemini, and so there's a lot of support for making any changes that we're ready to make now with this new illumination, whatever is coming to light for us.
And they are in a sextile, connecting. Yes, thank you.
I want to speak to Vesta and Juno being together. You have Vesta being like, it would be your light inside you, and Juno, the goddess of marriage, which is how we do relationships. And these two planets are together. So a struggle with my flame, my battery, what I need to function. Also thinking of the significant others in our lives comes into play. And again, that same palace energy up by the moon saying, just be clear about it. And,
Absolutely. This is true. And the back of it all, Mercury, which now has gone across the north node in the US, just to bring people, because it's 6 degrees Leo, but at 4 degrees here is going to station a little bit. It's slowing down. It's very intense. It's drilling in, and it's being highly transformed. It's being Plutoized or whatever it is, because it's opposite it, who is also retrograde. So this is a deep catharsis that we're going through our thought process of, and not on a linear fashion. It's going to be probably emboldened by, yes, go ahead.
How opposite could these two planets be? Mercury being just flighty and going around very light and getting information, and Pluto being like, I'm just going to be.
Except it's a psychopomp. It's a psychopomp. It gets down in there. So it does befriend. There are big mythologies where with Persephone or etc., he had to go down and talk as a messenger. So that is the beautiful part about Gemini, or not Gemini, but Hermes, Mercury. It can wear this invisible hat as it is and go down and find out what the truth of our souls really want and bring it on.
Another thing to remember is that Mercury was just conjunct the sun on July 31st. And so it was Cazimi, the sun, and that means that it's been empowered, and it was seated on the throne with the sun, and has the sun's ear, the king's ear. And this gives it a new directive. And so now, it's got a new directive, and now it's coming and opposing Pluto and having a little mini death. Part of us is dying away that needs to go, that's ready to go. And it's going to help us kind of ignite some new ideas and some fresh viewpoints going forward.
Wow. Back to that sacred hammer that we talk about, Thor's, for the punch. What is the next one? Well, here we have one with the full moon, and it is the ones near the Aries point, Saturn and Neptune, 1 degrees Aries, that are working their way to conjunct in February. Meanwhile, so we have this relationship with spurring on this sense of what is essential of the extraordinary, which really can be a spiritual connection, co-partnership with that sun and our relationships.
I guess
said that, huh?
Just the work continues. It's another Thor's hammer, so the work continues. And then if we go back to that chart, we have those
Sure.
pairs of Saturn Neptune, which are kind of like opposites a little bit. One's like solid, and the other is like let's just dream, and they're working together. They're conjunct in Aries, and of course the vestige, I just talked about the personal versus who we care about. So, like, what new structures do we want to build to work together? I suppose
To manifest ourselves, because it's with the sun. Everything that we are, our ego, what brings light to our life today? I mean, light, what clarity? And the clarity would be that perhaps we aren't all in the control panel. I mean, we may have our clicker for the TV, but we can't, and we can write it on our calendar, but there is another invisible sense of how we live that connects.
Yeah, and there may be a sense with Vesta in Scorpio here of holding too tight to what we think our flame is and wanting to control it. And the sun in Leo is, it's creative and it's coming up with new ideas here and there. And so there may be some friction with that for us. And so Saturn coming in and kind of laying down the hammer and saying, we are on like a new trajectory here. We're innovating, we're pioneering in Aries. We're bringing in a new directive.
Right. Another pattern. The planets are coordinating. They are really working. This is a yod, finger of God. Again, it has a focal point. And here, I'm not going to go into all of these so much because they're powerful. It's where the focal point can't quite get along with a sextile, two other planets that are in a flowing connection. They're communicating back and forth somehow in some dynamics, depending on what the situation is, because they don't share as astrology the same element or the same modality. It's just, now if it's a transit, it's quite different from what I've studied with vibrational astrology. If it's a transit, it is irritating. You just can't quite get it to mix. It's a growth process. If it's natal, it is it's really a growth process. Okay, we have quite a bit to follow and continue here. Ahead, here we have a strong one with that relationship. Mm-hmm.
With the South Node, I was thinking maybe that Yod with vestige, and it looks like it's Ceres. God, what was I going to say? I had this really great track and I lost it. Dang, all right.
Did I speak too much? Go ahead, Amanda.
Yeah, well, so we've got this yod here, which, as you just said, brings a lot of discomfort and irritation. And then there's two additional quincunxes as well. And so there's just a lot of trying to work with energies that maybe we're not going to get a resolution on during this week. And how do we make peace with that? And how do we kind of just accept it for what it is? And I like that we've got the South Node involved in this yod. The South Node is being ruled by Mercury. Mercury rules Virgo. And so there's this piece here about kind of reclaiming our power of just being in the moment, like John said, with the North Node, and of just taking things step by step. That's one of the things that Virgo can do, just step by step, instead of trying to analyze the whole, because that's not going to get us anywhere.
I remember what I was going to say, that Yod has Ceres as the focal point. And Ceres, of course, is the goddess not only of gardening and growing things in the fields, but also of loss. And she is the focal point of this Yod. So processing through loss that we've gone through,
and yeah, I love that. And in Aries, Ceres in Aries, like, where have we lost ourselves, our identity?
Wow.
Yeah. And like, can we reclaim that? And we've just been looking at some aspect patterns with Saturn and Neptune in them, where this is about like really reclaiming who we are and what our identity is.
So perfect what you're both saying, because the other quincunx, which you brought up, is the sun with the north node. So here it's that releasing, but also the reclaiming of our light, our spark, and as you had indicated earlier, letting go, because there's all these patterns happening at the same time for the full moon. It's partly releasing, reclaiming, adjusting. It's hard for fixed signs to do that too. Maybe that's why there's so many of these patterns. Fix is what it is.
I really like this. It's a full moon in Aquarius. And so there will be the potential to kind of get a healthy detachment from this, so that we can kind of, not be so in the thick of it and see what it is, and maybe just be able to take a little bit of a step back so that we're not as
rise up above, like the bird. See that, the big view of it. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, a new pattern to add to our collection, the kite. John, I know you're great at understanding and delineating what patterns mean.
Kite is made of a grand trine, which you see in the dark blue lines, and you add a mini trine, those dotted lines, add another one. And so the grand trine, the dark lines, they're all within the same element. Looks like these are in fire, sure. So astrologer Noel Till talked of grand trines as being closed circuits of whatever the element is. And so in fire, closed circuit of just spiritual, fiery, creative energy. But because it's in a trine, it's within you and it just feels great, but you don't use it very much. Add that other point, that focal planet D on there, makes it a kite. And that's the way to jump out of that energy and put it to use, which would be in a air sign. Air feeds fire.
Yeah. And I just did this one because it is a 0 point, just to show the pattern. So yes, good point though, that the trine would be in one element.
I like picturing them as a crossbow too, like planet C is the string being pulled back, and that focal point planet outside the trine is the arrow tip. And where is that going to go? It's a very, I think, Sagittarian configuration.
Yes, and that ability to soar, and here we have it. And this one happens to be, the trine itself is in air, and the focal planets are in fire. So it's just the reverse, really. So we're thinking, and how are we going to just light it up?
It's also a social energy, and I'm into my brain. I have all these ideas. How can I put this to work? Well, there's Saturn, Neptune. Build Saturn a dream, Neptune.
There's with that grand trine and air connected here, it's like there's a lot of potential for brilliance to come forward, and we need that tension from that Saturn to help us actually move it and get it moving, and to take action and actualize it. So it's a really lovely aspect here.
It's a packed full moon in Aquarius that is elevating. The third quarter is the last quarter of that fixed cycle, and it is in Taurus. So Venus is going to be the governing ruler, and Venus Venus rules it. So and it's a crisis in consciousness. This will be on the 23rd of August, and it's in the third decan. It's at 23 and a half degrees of Taurus. So we have time. Goody.
The third quarter, last quarter moon. It's a time of going more inward and integrating all of the lessons that we've learned from this lunar month. And in Taurus, it's it's really helpful to kind of get into the felt space within the body and embody our lessons, and really kind of anchoring what we've learned in the body and doing a lot of grounding work around that. So I think that's an important piece for this third quarter moon.
Indeed, there is, well, in this particular chart here, it shows that our belief systems, and it's in Jupiter being in Cancer, is very much about our security and our family and our stories. In the moon, which this is now that it's evolved to the full moon, and it's in that point of crisis in consciousness, because we're tidying things up and we're getting somewhat prepared for the next new moon. You know, it's not really initiating, but at this time, of course, Venus, the two of them with Venus, that is the governing of Taurus, is looking again to what has been lost or how we can nourish ourselves, you know, with Ceres. But then Jupiter is also with how to strategize that. And it's getting, you know, by itself, it's a quandary.
It will be, it'll feel like a constant, oh, this again, but the tools are there to use them. It's always those quincunxes, planets 150 degrees apart. You're therapeutically working something out. It doesn't resolve so easily. Be patient.
Therapeutic. Oh boy, there's hope beyond.
Love that word.
Yeah, indeed. Just to show once again, we have this ongoing flowing connection, this minor talent trine. It's a long enduring with the outer planets. So
I'm officially renaming it. I'm renaming the mini trine the podcast trine. There are 3 planets working together having a show. And the main host is the focal points is Saturn and Neptune. They're running the podcast. And their guests are Uranus and Pluto.
Drawing pictures in the clouds. I see ahead. We have a kite. Again, it's that wings to soar as it's presented with a focal planet. And this time, though, it's in earth and water. So we went from the air going to fire. Now we're in water. We went from air to the water. Air is involved in the water also, oxygen at least.
There's that focal point, South Node Virgo. So the way out of drowning and all that water, all that emotional stuff, is to get on solid ground practically and draw from your gifts that you already have, the South Node. What has worked for you in the past? What can you bring? Yeah. You have tools inside you that you can bring out and use to get your emotion, get some perspective on what emotionally is going on, I guess I'm trying to say.
And, you know, Virgo is, one of the great things about Virgo is it will set up really healthy habits for itself.
Yes.
And that is a wonderful thing to do here. With all of this grand trine in water, there's going to be a lot of emotion flowing, and there's a lot of potential to really kind of channel that as wisdom for ourselves and not drown in it, but move through it like a current. And some healthy habits will help that. Some grounding will help that, kind of doing any somatic work with yourself to embody that energy and this wisdom and these lessons that we've learned.
This is really, it looks like all that work that we've been with the full moon is going to, at the end of the month, begin to culminate in another direction. This mystic rectangle, we'll go over it, but basically it's trines and it's 4 points, trines and sextiles, because we have a few minutes. And Mercury is now direct. Mercury has been direct in 3 days. It'll be out of its shadow path on the 26th. But it is doing a lot of work. All that energy, psychopomp, going down and up and out and beyond. As you said, it jumps around, John. It is connecting to our actions. It's working with everybody. It's really wanting to strategize. It's trying to figure this out. And yes. Will we be on the beach? I don't know. I've got this little ideas there. But my goodness, if you have some ideas, we'll...
I mean, I guess to close, I would just say reclaim that divine child within. And The shamanic astrology says that the divine child is considered the spiritual seed that carries one's original essence or soul birth blueprint.
Oh, and that's an ongoing, deep connection to everything around us. That's the flame, our own flame of being that we can radiate out to and help others, because that is also what it loves to do. Thank you. Rethink from your heart.
Thank you. Have a great month.
Okay. Thank you, John and Amanda. See you, everybody, later.
Thank you for joining an insightful conversation on Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and her panel of guests awaken consciousness by connecting soul growth patterns with astrology's energetic cycles. Be sure to tune in next week, same time, same place, to continue your journey through the roots of the cosmic pathway.